Welcome to Cabin's Video Hub, where we talk about all your favorite films and TV shows. I'm your host, Cabins, and joining me today is my co-host, The Other Hero.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, so this is a new series. Well, okay, technically not new series since I've did podcasting before, but I use like only 1% of my brain cell to do any of that. So this is a little more professional. Then I figured out how to do this on Spotify.
Fancy.
Yeah,
Fancy now.
I'm acting like I actually know I'm doing it. I didn't spend like an hour and a half just to know how to do that. But anyways, starting off today, we are going to be talking about Miss Marvel and also the first episode of She-Hulk.
Yeah. So, Miss Marvel, that was I
So,
watched
okay.
it. Like, it's a really weird thing because like the first 3 episodes, I was in.
Yeah.
Like, they did a really good job with Kamala. I haven't read many of her stories, but I knew I'd done my research beforehand. And I had like a gist of her character. And there were a lot of stuff like about the show that I really really liked because with the whole she's I think she's like second generation born in the States.
I think.
Is that and like that's something that like for me my whole family background, like my mom, her mom was a off the boat Greek woman. She's born in the States, and then same thing with my dad where they're born in the States. So we had that whole thing that Kamala had with her family and like the cultural side of it. That was something that me and my mom, like especially my mom, who had the more traditional, culturally aligned mom, she totally got where Kamala was coming from, and it was super cool because I was like, we're not the same religion or culture, but I could still relate to Kamala a lot.
Right. Yeah, the first 3 episodes, like, it was really great. I loved almost everything about it.
The style in the
But,
first episode was super cool.
yeah, but after the first 3 episodes, they just kind of shut the bed. I don't know what the fuck
Oh,
happened.
dude, I have never groaned louder watching a show than when Nani said, "Kamala, you have to come to Karachi," and I was like,
No, like,
"No,"
what are you
because
doing? Like,
I
okay, I understand that. I understand that a TV show needs a TV show, but the thing is, I don't think that this otherworldly ancient artifact plot works for a teenager going through high school and being a total fangirl over Captain Marvel. It
yeah,
doesn't
honestly, like
work.
it, especially like from what I know about in my research on the character, I was like, oh, this is like we'll get a Jersey street level thing. I was like, cool, we're getting out of New York. Like she's gonna be in Jersey. That's something that we just it's New York or bust in like Marvel stuff. So
Right.
like I was super happy to see her like trying to become a superhero. That's like a total fangirl.
Yeah.
And like I like that's what we got in those first two and 3 episodes. And then it just like I think they just delved a bit too hard on the mystical side of things
Yeah.
for her. Like I don't mind doing that for all the characters. I mean, like they did it with Spider-Man in the JMS run with Morlun and all that, and so like that's fine. I think that's fine for the street level stuff. I think they needed more just regular her kicking butt and like regular criminals.
Yeah, and obviously I don't have much experience with comics because reading is extremely hard for me. But
Hmm.
for even with that, I can still tell that all this like otherworldly stuff going on, it doesn't work for what this character is trying to be. It's trying to be a more grounded superhero that relates to everyday teenagers, and I don't think it works when you suddenly have like this bangle that can transport you to other dimensions, or it lets you see in the past, or it does whatever
Yeah.
the fuck it wants.
Yeah, and there's like it's a weird thing because like I feel like they were trying really hard to kind of Percy Jackson this a little bit, where like Percy is kind of the same, is in kind of the same deal as Kamala, where there's magical shit going on around her, and it's the teenager being able to relate. But like the thing with the Percy Jackson series is that while these kids, that are going through their stuff are magic stuff that we can't really relate to, they still have a whole host of like interpersonal stuff going on of just them being kids
Right.
that I can still like get it, I can still relate to. Like, and it works. And I think that's what was missing, was a lot more interactions with her friends.
Yeah, and
Uh,
like the first 3 episodes did fine. The finale was actually all right. It kind of saved the show for me a little bit, but I cannot recall a single thing from episodes 4 and 5. I don't know what happened. I like
I
was just droning
remember
on the whole time.
I remember they did like a teleporting thing where the villains got from New York all the way to Karachi in like I don't know how much time. So like
Right.
I think that was just like a poor editing thing where they should have just had them bust out in episode 3. So then like and
Yeah.
the entire time in episode 4 we're sitting there wondering when are they going to show up, what's going on, and just
Yeah.
like that. I think that just would have helped like the tension a little bit.
Yeah, but I think that what the first 3 episodes were trying to do were completely different from the next two. And then episode 6
Yeah.
is like, you know what? We kind of forgot damage control was a thing, so we're bringing them back now. Which,
Well, and
honestly,
I
damage
think
control should have been like the main villain throughout the whole story.
yeah, and so that like I think that just goes into the 6 episode thing they had,
Yeah,
because
six
I could
episodes, like, ugh, they need to. I'm
yeah,
glad they're
like
getting
if
rid of
they
it now,
did
but
true, yeah, we're out of it. Although it's a question of how much are we out of it, but I'll save that
exactly.
for when we get to She-Hulk.
Yeah.
But like if they had more episodes, like if even if it was just like a 9 episode thing, I would have been totally. I think it would have worked a lot better if first 3 episodes set the first 3 episodes are very clearly like set up Kamala getting used to her powers and everything about her life there, and that's good. And they bring in what they bring in with the more mystical side of things, and then if they went with episodes 4 and 5 right after that to completely wrap up that storyline, just like wrap up what's going on with the clandestines a little bit and like make it a bit neater. I don't really know exactly how they would do that because I haven't just thought that much. I'm just kind of spitballing.
Yeah.
Like, and then if they went for like a 9 episode count, they could have had episode 6 where she comes back and like does more. That could have been a whole arc, a whole 3 episode arc with damage control. Just like she's trying to keep a low profile and avoid damage control at all costs while still being a hero and dealing with all the Kamran stuff. And which like I just think that would have worked a bit better, so it just felt less like a huge tonal shift.
Right, and I think that's just kind of a problem with a lot of the Disney Plus shows with it being in a 6 episode format, is that you don't get enough to do what like
Oh yeah.
like you have 1 to 2 episodes that work completely fine, but then the next episodes can't follow up because there's too much of a time constraint, and that's the main issue with the six
Yeah.
episode format. Which again, it looks like they're starting to get rid of it, but we will have to see. Overall, Miss Marvel, honestly, I was afraid to talk about it because I don't want to talk about it after I'm done with this and the future video I have planned, because there was a single scene in Miss Marvel. I'm saving that for a future video, but there's one scene where it hit me harder than any other MCU product has ever done, and it literally makes me sad that the rest of the show could not
Oh,
follow up with that same emotion.
I think I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about, Abu, aren't you?
Well, that and but also another scene that again I'm also saving for a future video. But
Oh, okay, yeah, because that was my big thing
yeah, that
watching
that was
that
such a
first
great
episode
scene.
where I
That
was
was
like,
such a good
"How
moment.
dare you, Kamala?" Like,
Like, oh my god, that was too real. But getting away from the disappointing show that got bad in the middle, let's start talking about a show that got bad immediately, which was She-Hulk.
All right. So, like, I was a little late for the She-Hulk stuff just because I'd seen the trailers, and to be honest, like, I didn't know much about the character outside of the fact that she's, I guess, the horn, like, she has banged like 90% of Marvel comics. Like, that was like what I really knew about her, and that she broke the fourth wall. So,
Yeah.
like, going into She-Hulk, I was really like, Hulk has never been my thing in general, unless you're talking about Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the animated show Hulk.
I remember that show a
Uh,
little bit. I don't remember watching a lot of it. I
oh, it's
remember
great. I mean,
I remember
it's
the
all on Disney
2012
Plus.
Ultimate Spider-Man, which is universally hated upon.
I have yet to fully watch that, but Earth's Mightiest Heroes is on Disney Plus actually. So if you want to
Yeah.
watch a good show, go watch that show.
Yeah,
It's
I watched
fantastic.
Ultimate Spider-Man so what? I watched the Jesse and Spider-Man crossover. And let me tell you, that was a fever dream. Not in a good way though. But yeah, She-Hulk it was very mixed for me because while I do like the representation of women's struggles, which if you didn't know, if you like just barely learning about this like from She-Hulk, then you don't fucking go outside your house, touch grass.
Yeah.
But I do like the representation, but in the context of who she's saying it to, it gets very weird because like I'm assuming that she doesn't know about Banner's multiple suicide attempts.
I
But
would assume so too, just
yeah,
because I don't think that's something he would tell
exactly.
like, I don't think that's something anyone would
Like
tell their
honestly, it's
family.
like the one like I'm pretty sure he said it like out of the spur moment in Avengers,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
yeah,
with the influence of the scepter too.
obviously,
Like that's
but
that's the
like
key thing I think people forget too. And the other thing I think, like the other thing I hold this all the time for anything I go into is I'm like, I can't look at these like dialogue decisions, or like whatever dialogue is being said or whatever character decisions are being made. I can't look at this from the omnipotent viewpoint I have as the viewer
yeah,
before I judge it. I have to like, all right, let's see what's going on with the character, what has happened to them, that I then like try and break it down as to what would lead them to talk in this manner or say these things, because the characters don't have the same perspective we do. So like,
obviously because we
we
see
can
like we're basically the water of the MCU.
exactly, yeah. Like, we can judge all of these actions, like we get to judge all these actions differently. So like, a little bit of like a little bit of, I guess, a WandaVision reference, like Wanda doing her Wanda doing her whole, making the hex before all of this was like pulled back, and we got the idea that she was really struggling, and like that the decision to make the hex, based off of her struggles and just like she couldn't contain it, yeah, that makes sense. It just, when it gets later down the line and they actually give the justifications for it, that it gets a little weird. But
Right.
in those moments, like even in like, Far From Home, where Peter gives the glasses to Mysterio, we know, like all the audience, we know that Mysterio's a bad guy. Like, at
Yeah,
least
because we know
anyone can.
of the comics, but like
Yeah,
in the eyes
exactly.
of the
But
character, like
like Peter, he thinks that what he's doing in that scenario is like the most responsible thing he could do, because he doesn't believe in himself and Mysterio has proven himself. So like, why wouldn't he?
exactly. And it's honestly there's always like a weird fine line when you get to from what the audience knows versus what those characters know, and
Yeah.
it gets very lost in translation when characters make bad decisions or say some weird dialogue like I've been dealing with anger infinitely more than you to a character who has
Yeah.
attempted suicide. But
Yeah. And
so
so
I
like
can
for
understand why the audience gets angry, but I think that it's also somewhat justifiable.
Yeah, like the way I saw it too, I watched this I also watched this with my dad who bless him doesn't have any social media stuff. So he's like completely blind to all of this outside stuff. And I'm actually kind of jealous cuz he gets to sit down and watch things and just take them for what they are without like anyone going, "Oh, this was an agenda going through with this decision." He just sits there and takes it as it is. And so I had like a little bit of information on this beforehand because I was on social media and I saw all the explosion about this. And so when that scene hit, I looked to him. I was like, "All right, so did that seem like outrageous or like pandering in any way?" And he was just like, "Nah, like the like there's a little bit of a weird dialogue decision, but I didn't feel like they were preaching or anything. It was just her talking about her experience in comparison to what Bruce was saying, like about controlling your anger and everything. So like he didn't get any of that stuff that everyone on social media was shouting about, and like I was kind of in the same boat where like after it I sat down and I looked at the dialogue that was actually like just being said without the actors, and I think it's a bit of like an execution thing where Tatiana's delivery of those lines, like the infinitely more than you, that
Yeah,
that line, while I think
I
is
think that's what set everyone off is just the word
yeah,
using the word infinitely. Like if she said like, "Oh, I control my anger more than you," it's a little more reasonable. But saying it infinitely, like that's
yeah,
what can obviously throw viewers off.
I think there's also a little bit of I do think there are some elements of that dialogue that could have been changed. Just the like specifically, I think the one that is the most like sus that seems okay. Did this have to be said like this? Was the when a man tells me how to do my job? I think that just kind of narrows it down a little unnecessarily because when you have any character, you want any member of the audience to be able to relate to them, and I think a lot more of the audience would have been able to relate to Jen if she just said, "When someone tells me how to do my job in a field I know more about than they do, that pisses me off." Like I know so many people that would be able to relate to that because yeah,
Right.
no one likes it when they know a lot about something and there's someone else trying to teach them, and you're like, I already know this, why, like, but you can't really say that because it's like a superior or whatever, and you're trying to be professional. And
Right.
I think everyone could be like anyone in a workplace would be able to relate to that.
Yeah, and it's like yeah, it's more relatable to pretty much everyone in the workplace. So I think that the dialogue could have been done handled a lot better. But
Mm-hmm.
I do like it's very weird, but outside of that, like just one little scene that threw the internet off entirely, the rest of the episode was okay. I wouldn't say it's like one of the better Disney Plus shows, but like Disney Plus episode 1, but it's not the worst.
Yeah,
I think
I,
that
I think the
probably
best
Falcon and
episode
Winter
one
Soldier
might go to Moon
was the
Knight.
worst. Yeah, Moon Knight, like, oh my god. I want to talk about Moon Knight so badly again, but but yeah, I
I'm
think that like it's also the problem with She-Hulk is that now they kind of I don't want to say they nerfed Hulk like Bruce Banner's Hulk, but it made it seem like he was a lot worse than what he was, and that's kind of also why Twitter is raging right now over the show.
oh yeah, the it was the Jeep.
Yeah, it was a Jeep. It was definitely the Jeep.
Okay,
That and like her hand clapping. That it was also that.
sure, that one's a bit more, I guess that one's a bit more justifiable. I don't remember if she like caught him off guard for that or not. But like the
I think
Jeep,
it's also like within the sense that they like everyone like just remembers Hulk getting the beaten shit out of the MCU and just looking at 2008's Incredible Hulk and thinking, oh, this Hulk's a lot better.
yeah, that's like that that's another weird thing is just seeing it's a comparison of two different characters too, where I think people aren't separating the fact that that was Hulk and this is Smart Hulk. This is a
Yeah,
like for all intents and purposes, this is a different character than when Hulk is in control. Because like I think that's also they haven't done the MCU itself hasn't done the best in displaying Bruce's DID because I know while I don't read a lot of Hulk comics, I know that he does have DID, and that's what the Hulk is for him. Was when he got the gamma radiation, the Hulk was like a manifestation of that childhood trauma and
right.
rage, and like DID does come from when you had from childhood trauma, as like a kid's coping mechanism. So that like I don't think they've done a good job showing that, but I can't really blame the MCU for that because Hulk is owned by Universal and they don't let Marvel do it's not like a Sony and Marvel situation where they share Spider-Man for a couple movies. Hulk is literally only allowed to show up in team up movies. So he can't get his
Ah,
own
okay.
property and show.
Well, I mean, even so, people are just really upset about the fact that Hulk gets beaten down a lot in like other MCU movies like Ragnarok or Avengers Age of Ultron. And I saw like a video on it once, and the comments were saying like Hulk should be like where all of the Avengers should be teaming up against him instead of just Thor or Iron Man. Which
I
yeah,
think
it's
they're.
debatable.
I think the people who say that have only like seen or only read or watched the comic story and video on World Breaker Hulk, where he was like at his absolute most powerful.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna light me on that. I again, like reading is very
I
hard for me.
pretty much that whole thing was like Hulk. It was after Hulk got sent by the Illuminati over to Sakaar, and when he came back, he was just super pissed.
Okay.
Like just he was pretty much just even more pissed than normal, and like he was just ridiculously strong, and so it took pretty much everyone to get him to stop. Like I think actually one of my favorite bits from that comic was they initially sent Darwin, the mutant who evolves to survive anything, out to fight Hulk, and his mutation teleported him halfway across the world because that was the only way he would survive a 1v1 with the Hulk. That is the thing I think people point to of like this is how powerful Hulk should be. When in reality, it's not like there's a bunch of characters in Marvel that would be able to throw down with Hulk. I mean,
Spider
Ben
Man
Grimm
can beat
throws
the shit out
down.
of the Hulk. Spider Man can
Yeah.
100% like throw Hulk across a building. Like
Oh yeah. Like
no
I mean,
cap.
Spidey's speed and strength are like he's way faster than Hulk.
Yeah.
Like he's he's gone so like even one of the times Spidey was in a rage, like it was back in the 90s when uh after Peter thought Mary Jane died in a plane crash and he was like in denial about it. He was fighting Hulk and he was just like in a rage fighting him and completely like pretty much was outclassing Hulk.
I would
Like
also like to
he
point out that Spider Man pulls his punches 80% of the time.
that too. Yeah.
Like let's be honest, if Spider Man actually didn't pull his punches, he would probably kill the Hulk.
I don't know about kill him because that like Hulk is super strong and super durable, but he like his punches leave a mark for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Like
I think
he could fight him. I mean, that was the fun part of No Way Home,
okay.
where you could see that he was not really holding back against Norman, which
No,
was super
definitely
fun.
not. Which I would love to see more of in Spider Man 4 or even 5 and 6, where Spider Man just completely fucking loses it.
Well, we're gonna need a villain to be able to pull that off. Come on,
Exactly.
Scorpion.
Right.
But
Yeah, come on, Matt Gargan. Like, show up for. Like, I don't care what Michael Mando's contract is, bring him back. Please. You don't do that to Michael Mando and just seal him up once and then never again. He needs to come back.
I'm so mad.
Yeah,
But
but I think the
yeah,
problem that everyone has is that with Marvel in general is that they like to they don't like it when like these strong characters or like very meaty beefy characters are desensitized, like especially with the Hulk. And I think they're missing the point that Bruce Banner and the Hulk went through an entire character arc over the past like 4 movies.
Yeah. Like regardless of how well we think it was executed,
Yeah,
he
like it
still
wasn't
went
done
through.
well. Like they kind of did it off screen, but
Oh
like
yeah.
it still happened. Like they need to
Yeah.
like people need to understand that though that arc still happened. Like Hulk is now a lot more calmer and like one with Bruce Banner. So
Well,
it
as far as we know, he's
yeah
one with Bruce Banner. Because I will say, I think we will see the return of a proper Rage Monster Hulk, because I still have the theory that it wasn't Hulk's decision really to be turned into Smart Hulk. Because it seems like Hulk was killed, and so like, or at least not really killed, just that he's not there anymore.
right
So I have a feeling, because they have been hinting at like, oh, we would love to do World War Hulk or World Breaker Hulk. I have a feeling that we will see Hulk again, and I think that's going to be Bruce's arc in She-Hulk. When he does show up, is about him coming more to term. Like Jen is going to be helping him in a different way than he helps her. And like I think what he's gonna help her with is coming to terms more with that. Okay, she has Hulk stuff now, and I think we will end the show with her, because in the comics she can't turn back. Like that's a big thing, is she can't turn back into Jennifer Walters. She's stuck as the 7 foot tall, hot green woman. Um, and I think that's where we're gonna end the show, because her character right now is very much, I don't want she's the reluctant hero. Like I
yeah.
don't want anything to do with this. And
You know, I think it's different than what we're used seeing. Like she acknowledges that okay, I have these powers, but I have my own life, and it it doesn't help the fact that Bruce is telling her, "Nope, you have no life now. Quit your job. Quit your entire career. You have to be a Hulk now. You're gonna be a superhero. Don't think about money. We're not gonna pay you. No one's gonna pay you. We're not
which
getting income. Why do you think I live on this island? I built it. I'm not making
that's
any
true.
money."
I think that is part of that is something that she's gonna help him move past. Because I
Right.
think that's an interesting place to put Bruce as well, and that she actually brings it up in that scene that everyone got pissed about, is that he's there, no, like he's alone,
Yeah.
his no friends, he's alone on an island as Hulk. I mean, like, that seems kind of sad, bro. Like, why don't
Yeah.
you go out and do something?
Is it all in his mind?
Oh God,
Just
listen, listen. You can make fun of me later for my Moon Knight theories when we get to that part. All right.
just bring up like one of those like 37 like yellow text bold against like a Marvel JPEG is like all in his mind,
Oh,
or does he know?
I have so many Moon Knight theories about how they could save the show on a second season in the
Oh
adaptation.
Jesus! Yeah, I've heard that there's a lot of very terrible things about like how it's a bad adaptation, but it even though I'm 100% aware of that now, and I've seen like how it's a bad adaptation, I still like the show though. So
Yeah, same. Like,
like you can
I
take that
Moon
with a
Knight is one
grain
of
of
the
salt.
Moon Knight is like one of the characters that I actively read in comics. Like it's Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Moon Knight for me. And like I know it's not a good adaptation. Like that first episode was a really good
Yeah,
way to capture what it's like to be Mark, like just with how it transitioned with Khonshu and everything, and how it dealt with all that, and then the way it like presents Moon Knight at the end of that episode, where the second he gets into the costume and like Mark takes over, it just like switches on a dime from like, oh god, there's a jackal. Oh God, to I'm not done with you. Come back. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. And I love
Yeah.
like I and that was an amazing heel turn for that first episode. I
Yeah.
just think I think the way that they could save that, the way that they could save the second season, I'm just gonna say it quickly, is if they double down a bit more on the Lemire run that they took from, and they start the first season, they start the next season, like the first episode. It's very much similar to the first season, you know, very similar vibe, you know, with Steven and everything. And then we get to a point, and then you hear someone shout "cut," and then it pans over, and there's
Oh my
Steven
god.
doing like there's Steven. They're on the set of Moon Knight, and it's Steven, you know, because his whole deal in the comics is that he's a movie producer. Uh, they just pull the switch right there, and then that that one change would get rid of pretty much every issue that everyone had with the first season. Like, and if they're really smart, they could make it that work by having like Mark and Steven and Jake are all at the same time going around. Khonshu is a lot more ambiguous, and so he's but they can justify his actions in the first season as just how Steven, Mark, and Jake like see him in their head of like, oh, this is a Egyptian deity, and he did this to save us or whatever. And it's like, okay, I can just like I'm with it. Now we now we're back to street level.
Yeah. Now
Moon
now
Knight,
now he
please.
doesn't have like now he's not like unkillable.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was
Which
like one of
like
the weird things about Moon Knight is that he kind of just had like when he's actually Moon Knight, he's like basically indestructible, but
yeah. And like I think it would be really funny too if I think it would be really funny if they made uh or what is it Layla, if
yeah, Layla.
Layla was revealed, it's the same actress, but her name is Marlene actually in real life, or in the real life that they like where Steven is a actual movie producer, and they're like, ah, this is actually Marlene. It's the same actress, but it comes off more as, oh, Steven put his girlfriend in the show that he's making or the movie that he's
Right.
making.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can go with Moon Knight because again, a lot of it's left very ambiguously.
Yeah,
That's probably
like
why a lot of people were thrown off by like some people were thrown off by it because there was just a lot of ambiguity and confusion behind it,
yeah, like my dad had my dad had a little bit of trouble following the last couple episodes
which is
of
very
Moon Knight because of
understandable.
how well, yeah, because they just like they went so far in, and meanwhile I'm sitting here like full knowledge of how trippy the Lemire run is, and I'm like, okay, I'm following this completely.
Yeah, yeah, I really need to figure out like how to get caught up with comics and the TV shows in general because I have a confession to make. Up until
Mm.
like 3 months ago, I've never fucking watched Daredevil. So
You watched it
full
now though. That's the
full
important
disclose
thing.
yeah, full disclosure. So until like I want to say 3 months ago, never watched a single episode of Daredevil. I've never seen a single scene or clip or anything. I have never watched Daredevil, despite literally everybody telling me to watch it. I don't know what I was on. I was on crack. And when I watched the first season, like, wow, what was I on? Am I on drugs? I it's
Well, okay. How confused were you when he showed up in No Way Home?
I okay. Before I obviously knew about Daredevil. I knew like Daredevil was a thing. So I knew
Okay.
like Matt Murdock was a character. Like that and I've known Daredevil for um like anything outside the TV shows. I don't remember where exactly I've seen him. I think I've seen
Mm-hmm.
him in like video games and stuff, but I never seen like the actual Marvel TV show. I might have seen him in again Ultimate Spider-Man if he did show up there.
He did. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
that's
that.
probably why I've seen him. But I knew that he was a character. Like I knew he existed. So I was it was cool to see Matt Murdock
Oh wait,
in
no, it
No Way
was the
Home.
'90s one. Sorry, it was the '90s one that he showed up in.
Okay, but yeah, no, like I thought I was gonna get confused. I was just I when I saw No Way Home and saw like everyone losing their fucking minds, I was like, do I need to watch Daredevil now? And then
Yes.
so long later, I finally got around to watching it, and oh my god, I haven't even finished. I'm not even done. I haven't finished season 3 yet, but Jesus,
Oh,
like,
dude, season 3 is so good.
okay, the thing with Daredevil is it feels so real. It feels more real than any Marvel product I've seen because it doesn't feel like you're even watching a show. It feels like you're watching a fucking superhero documentary. Like it's very similar to what I felt about The Boys. Is like you're just watching these people live their lives and watching Matt Murdock have to deal with all of his superhero stuff while also having struggling with being a lawyer, which he is a goddamn good lawyer, and the show even shows how he is. But the problem is he's never around, so
Hmm.
it it really ties into a lot of like what Matt Murdock is and what Daredevil is, and how those two lives cannot exist. So I'm really I want to watch season 3 of Daredevil, but at the same time, I don't want it to end. I, I'm in that very weird situation. I'm like, am I ready?
Dude, it's like, okay, you can at least watch it now knowing that he's going to show up in She-Hulk. I don't
Oh
know
yeah, She
when.
Hulk. Yeah,
I would assume he's going to show up, like, I would say at the earliest episode 3. I don't think he would show up next episode.
no, definitely not.
Um
Oh yeah.
but
See that Matt Murdock got Mike Wazowski'd.
yeah, that was funny.
That
That
there
was
was a
actually really funny.
like
I
comedy over Matt Murdock's face. Like
Dude,
you
that's going to
fucking
piss
piece
off
of shit.
so many of the Netflix Daredevil fanboys. Like, it's a weird thing where people are claiming that, oh, okay, like Daredevil is super dark and edgy and brooding, and he's not fun. Like, there's no funny for him. I don't want him to be MCUified funny. And meanwhile, like, I'm over here, I read the comics, and I'm like, guys,
Okay,
like,
again,
Matt's pretty funny.
I've never seen
Like,
comics. I've seen 2 seasons of Daredevil, not even all of it, and he is a cheeky bastard.
he
He is
is
he is the very
like,
like he is a one he is a very one liner. Like he makes so
oh
many
yeah.
quips and one
Well,
liners that it's funny.
have you seen Defenders?
I have not. Again, if I haven't seen Daredevil, I haven't seen Defenders, so I wouldn't
Okay,
know.
so I would say go watch Defenders before you watch season 3 of Daredevil, just because, like, at least the last, like, episode or two of Defenders, because there is some, while they do recap it in season 3, like, at least what you need to know in regards to Matt's character,
Right.
it is nice to watch it because you actually, like, when the Defenders actually get together and they all start talking with each other, it's really fun and they have a lot of great dynamics. And Matt has a lot of moments with them that's really fun. Like, there's one where he's in his Matt Murdock persona currently, and one of the cops is talking to him, like, "You're a witness to my crime scene." He's like, "A witness? Yeah. You want me to describe how it sounded, detective?" I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah,
Like,
no, even I think it's more I think you can see it more in season 2 where like he's very quippy. Like he
oh
makes a
yeah.
lot of very dark humor.
Like, even when he's like, when him and Foggy are like, him, Foggy, and Karen together in a scene, like
Oh
when they're
yeah,
just
no. It's
hanging out
always like
at,
a riot.
yeah, like they're hanging out at the bar, or they're hanging out at the firm, like, they're pretty funny just in general. Like, the very first episode where they're talking, they go meet Karen, and they're like, how you guys are lawyers, like, how long have you been lawyers, what time is it? It's like, "Oh, we've been lawyers for about 10 hours." It's like,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
no. It like even like okay, even if you ignore like Daredevil, the TV show, or the comics, Spider-Man: No Way Home, like when he was like, "I'm a really good lawyer," like Spider-Man: No Way Home, like
funny.
even in the 5, like 2, 3 minutes he's in, you can see that Matt Murdock it's not like this dark brooding character. It's not.
Yeah, no.
It's so
Like,
weird how people think that he's getting MCU-fied, but this is just him. This is just Charlie Cox being Charlie Cox.
yeah, it's weird. It's really weird, I guess. Like I understand the want for like a more serious tone because I will say I especially after Thor: Love and
Oh,
Thunder.
oh my
Uh
god! Don't remind me. I still like full disclosure. I still have a lot of fun with Thor: Love and Thunder, but there's just too many jokes.
Yeah, like it's very much I like that is the thing I will point to when people ask me like why don't they like or what's going on with the Marvel movies right now or like why don't you like the jokes or whatever. I'm just like this is the worst case scenario is Thor:
Yeah,
Love and Thunder with the
I
jokes.
okay. I think that Thor: Love and Thunder is everything that that people thought the MCU was prior to Phase 4.
Actually, I'm going to say it even more right now. Love and Thunder is what people thought MCU Spider-Man was for a long
Oh
time.
my god!
Of there's just jokes that happen all the time and it's not serious at all. And I'm like, guys, no,
Stop!
you're,
Stop!
you're so wrong on
You
this
don't
one.
want me to do it. You don't want me to show you like the 20 different clips I have of that not being true.
Like, it just it's weird. I think it's also just the reaction. Like everyone is very gut reaction. I gotta put my thoughts out immediately so that
Right?
they like it gets views. And I don't think people are taking the time to like, okay, let's see what's going on, and like what's actually being put here in the writing.
Yeah, like you really gotta just I will admit I'm one like don't get me wrong, I'm one to try and get as many views as I can right now. But I am also one to just sit down and kind of think about it for like at least 10 minutes. Like that's realistically all you need to sit and think about like for at least like 10-15 minutes like what is actually being showed here. Or
Yeah,
if not that, at least do another rewatch of it.
yeah. Like I I get just straight like let's watch this and get our first thoughts out. I totally get that. I think you need to temper it because I think another thing with She-Hulk is people kind of went into this. I think they were expecting to hate it. And I have seen a lot of the like in terms of new MCU projects coming up. I have seen the new Michelle Jones quote of, expect disappointment, you'll never be disappointed for like how people are approaching the new Marvel stuff. And I always point to that as like, hey guys, wait a second. She admitted in the movie that that wasn't the right mindset to like go for. Like this isn't what we should be doing with all of these movies.
Wait, she had
Like
to admit that that's not actually the right mindset?
no, like
Wait,
she did like
oh,
later in the movie
I
when
thought you meant
Peter
like
like
the actress herself in
no no no
response
no
to
no
that.
no no yeah Zendaya didn't do it. I'm saying like later when all the Peters are together and they're fixing up the stuff and Peter says he's like okay expect disappointment and she stops him. She's like no this is gonna work. And I was like yeah
Yeah, no,
okay
people they all love taking their bad quotes or relatable quotes out of context and abusing the absolute shit out of it.
yeah. I'm just
Like I,
like
I think it's also mainly because I think it's mainly because the state of Marvel right now and as a company because I think they're taking the things that they're angry about and just being angry about everything. They see one
yeah
thing wrong with it, they see everything because yeah, I will admit there's a lot of problems with Marvel as a company because they are abusing the shit out of their VFX workers and they're trying to time crunch everything to where the directors and their teams don't get time to actually second guess and revise.
yeah like that's the main thing is the production cycle is going so fast.
Yeah, it's honestly crazy right now, but I think they take that and just think, oh, everything's gonna be wrong now, or
Well,
in
it's also like it's a little bit of a they don't entire because we don't see the wheels like all of us we don't really see the wheels going on behind what we're given. that it makes it easier to criticize. Like everyone, when the Black Widow writer came out and said, that they wrote Black Widow in 11 days. Like that's a whole screenplay in 11 days, and that is like just from just a writing perspective, that is nuts to be able to do. Like to have the skill to write a product in 11 days and to even just put it out and have it make some kind of sense, that there's like, I can tell this is the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story, and like this is how it all wraps up. That is still insanely difficult to do, and just to, especially for a screenplay where you have to write everything out and then that screenplay is still subject to change later on. Like that is insane, but people don't really get, like the general audience won't really get that side of things. They'll just see, oh, it was written in 11 days. That's super lazy, and not consider the fact that that writer didn't just literally didn't have the time to actually make a story.
It, there's a lot of things taken out of context when it comes to Marvel, especially where they see where someone like makes a statement about something like, "Oh, we made this shot in a day," or "We made a screenplay in 11 days." Like they take those things a lot, like they take everything about context and just try and switch up to in a way that works for them, that works in the sense that we can just get on these companies when there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Like it
that like the internet right now is in a state where we're switching up things. Like we're changing our opinions so radically that it doesn't even make fucking sense. Like Incredible Hulk is now a masterpiece. Thor 1 and 2 are now good. James no,
well,
not James
so
Gunn.
okay,
Tyke
I may have a hot take on this, but I maintain first I maintain that Thor 1 is pretty good.
Thor
The
1's
thing I will
okay.
say about Thor 2 is that I think it holds up on just like on a writing level. I think the main problem with it is that it's just boring.
Yeah,
Like there's not much visually entertaining happening on screen. Like the best part of it is when there is when him and Malekith are fighting and Mjolnir is going through all of these portals or whatever. And
but
like that's the most, like, and when they're messing around with the convergence and stuff. Like that's actually interesting.
yeah, I need to
But
go and rewatch Thor the Dark World because I've seen it like twice and I don't remember a single thing that happened in that movie other than like Loki dying.
yeah, like the Thor and Loki stuff, that stuff all really good. And like the most entertaining parts of the movie, it's shot really boring. Like I just can't.
Yeah,
Like
but
and go
yeah,
ahead.
the state of Twitter right now is like we're switching up on things. Like because I have never seen so much radical change in opinions in my entire fucking life because like everything like the things that are bad are now good and the things that are good now bad. Homelander's a misunderstood character when he's a fucking villain. Taika Waititi is now the worst director in cinema history. When
Oh god.
Jojo Rabbit, Ragnarok,
Dude, Jojo, like the thing with Taika is that he's very much a I want to do what I want to do director. So like I don't think he's very suited for adaptations, but he's
yeah, no,
still
definitely. I don't
like
think because he's even flat out said that he hasn't read a single Thor comic,
well,
which is
and the
probably
same thing
why.
with, I think, JoJo as well. Like JoJo is a book, and he made radical changes from the book to the movie that I think worked in the movie's favor, like big time. Because it made a more entertaining product and a like very well written product.
Yeah, but I think Marvel is just kind of hurting people's brain cells right now. That like we have gotten so much like Marvel content even outside of MCU that everyone is kind of like dumbing down to Marvel to like MCU level. Like they're not thinking like anything outside of Marvel or DC exists, which 100% it does. But Taika as a director is still amazing because even even Ragnarok was amazing. it was able to
Oh
balance
yeah.
out the funny stuff with the dark stuff, but which is weird because you look at Love and Thunder and that you don't feel that same energy there. You don't feel that same balance, which again is mostly due to the time crunching that the MCU is known for all of Phase
Yeah.
4. It looks like as though it's getting better with Phase 5 though, but especially with Phase 4, there was no direction in that phase at all. Like, do you have any idea like what all of it's building to? Because it
So that's something that like I think that could have worked a lot better for this phase if they spent more time fleshing out what happened with the blip. And I
yeah.
think that's why it feels so like directionless because they keep building, like they keep ending their shows with like, oh, this is a big like cliffhanger or whatever. But then like we're not going to get those payoffs for like at least 2 years.
Yeah, but here's the thing though,
And
those like end credit scenes, they all for those movie sequels. The only time where those they actually got a payoff that actually built up to something bigger, like a team up movie, was Loki with Kang. Like that was
yeah.
realistically the only time we ever gotten something that was building up to something much larger. And I think they kind of had a direction to go with Phase 4 at the beginning, but like halfway through they're like, okay, we need to push out as much content as we need. We don't even care. And, like, if people like don't believe that time crunch like isn't a thing and that these directors are just getting much worse, here's the thing. So about Love and Thunder, when the end credit scene was said the Thor will return, both Chris Hemsworth and Taika did not know that was a thing that was going to happen.
Yeah.
They both of them had no idea that they were getting a second movie. It's like, oh, well then, okay then, I guess this is happening. And I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
the best example of the state of Marvel right now and just
um
where it is as a company is heading.
I would actually say that that everything coming out about the VFX workers and their conditions is a lot more telling
Oh yeah, no,
about it.
definitely.
Just because, I like they have so many different scenes or versions of scenes that they were like that the VFX artists were required to make so that Marvel has options that they can just ignore and then say, "Hey, make this one again so that we can see it." Like there's a scene they had I think the way they do the fight scenes it seems like is that they choreograph the fight scenes first and then like the script has to like weave around. It's weird. Like Moon Knight had a full fight scene in the first episode that was between the Jackal and Moon Knight that was changed for what we got. And while I loved what we got because it set Moon Knight up as a really badass dude, I wish we got to see that fight because it would have, well, first off, it would have given me the brutal fight that Kevin Feige promised me.
Kevin
Uh,
Feige, is that brutal fight that is too much in the room with us right now?
dude, I believe this man said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna like." There's some scenes where Mark is wailing someone on someone. We don't pull away,
Okay,
and he
but
said
and
that
and that wasn't
clip. He
like
said
in
that.
production. That was way after Moon Knight was done.
Well, at least after they were filming,
Yeah.
and like, I can't believe he said that, and then we got what we got in Moon Knight, and then versus what we got in the apartment fight with No Way Home, where Peter
Yeah,
is wailing on Norman,
exactly. Like
and that is like 10 times more brutal than
Feige,
what we
did you
got
watch
in
the
Moon
did you
Knight.
watch the right movie? Did you get the wrong cut?
Yeah, right. Like I 100% I have to believe, like I have to believe that in that final episode of Moon Knight, there is a version of the episode where we got to see Jake go ham on
There
everyone.
has to be. Like, there's no
Like
way there is.
like that it has to be a thing and that they just cut it because they couldn't make it on the VFX.
Yeah.
Like they and like at that point I am very much on the side of, hey, why don't you push this back like way farther? Because the other thing about that was that Moon Knight, at least from what I heard, this could be false, but from what I heard about the production of the series is that Moon Knight was the last one to finish, and both She-Hulk and Miss Marvel started and ended their productions first. Like
Oh,
Miss
okay.
Marvel ended theirs first. She-Hulk, I think, was going through reshoots when Moon Knight was filming, and so like Moon Knight was the least, or at least was the shortest along. I think that's the word I'm going for. Like it wasn't far along in its post production, and like that's extremely evident with how rushed the CGI looks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like that's a
especially with like the final episode where it's like the establishing like the establishing shot of Moon Knight and it literally looks like an action figure.
yeah, like that. And what sucks too is like I really I love I've seen the practical
The
versions of the
practical suit looks
suits.
fucking amazing. Like a
They
bit of
look
touch ups and you're
so good, and,
fine.
like, there are scenes where you could tell, like, in episode 2 where he's running on the rooftop and you see the jackal behind him, you could tell that that suit right there, at least minus the cape probably billowing as high as it does in the wind, that is him practically in the suit running because you can see, like, the shoulder plates
Yeah.
bouncing as he runs,
Like
and, like
honestly, like a little touch ups of CGI here and there, not a lot, but just a little bit,
w
and you're fine. You
God,
don't need anything else. Like the suit is the
honestly.
suit,
Yeah, like or Mr. Knight, fantastic. I don't think they touched any part of that practical suit
which I
with
am
CG
glad. Thank
aside from the
God.
mask.
Yeah, well, the mask
Like
obviously.
I think the mask is it. And then like for the full suit, they cleaned up like I think most of it cuz if you look at least how it was for some scenes, I don't know if that was the look the entire time, but the one of the looks is the suit is like tattered kind of, like the mummy bandages are kind of tattered in certain ways, and so it looks more battle worn, like battle armor,
Yeah.
and like that's cool. But then when you look at it, the suit is like very clean and pristine. Like I saw some people when we got like the first teaser shot of it, where the suit looked like more gray, and like yeah, it kind of does look gray in the practical shots, but I also don't really mind that if the suit is practical, like out
Right.
there.
Yeah, like practical versus CGI has always been a big debate against like when it comes to film Twitter, but the real
Oh yeah,
question you
it's
should be asking is how much time are they giving those VFX workers to do the VFX?
exactly.
Like that's
Like,
like the big thing. Like you can't go off based on what looks better, CGI or live action. You gotta base it off of how much time those VFX workers have. And like it's
yeah,
weird
and like,
because people are now thinking that this is just a new thing. Like VFX work is being like overworked as a new thing. No, this is like
oh no,
no,
no, no,
this has
no,
been
no.
going on for so long. Because again, VFX because like the thing is like VFX workers aren't unionized, so they can be worked
Hmm.
as much as they want.
Oh yeah, and like that goes back to just like look at some of the other CGI stuff that's happened. I mean, clown on everyone clowns on the movie, or at least film Twitter does. But like Avatar, the Blue Cats, that movie still looks amazing. Like
It
that
still holds up
CGI.
even today, like 10 years later, I think.
Oh, dude, and like Pirates 2 with Davy Jones, like any scene with Davy Jones in those old Pirates movies looks insanely good.
Right, like it's such a weird thing now because like it's always been a problem with VFX workers like being overworked, but they're looking at it based off of like what's better, practical or VFX. It's not the
And
way to look at it.
it's also, I think it's like at least in the industry, how it goes is it's a lot more based off of what is easier to pull off in the amount of time we have, because
Yeah,
that's Marvel's right now is it very much seems like we need to
they're
keep up the hype as we're going so that we could keep getting money and money so that people don't lose interest, and
like
I think that's hurting them a
that's
lot because like
definitely like their mindset right now because they're
yeah.
taking they as a company are not are not putting time in to make the costumes or make like scenes better, and just letting the VFX workers do a job because it's easier and faster.
Yeah, like I mean, look at if you look at the Batman, just like that movie
Oh,
had I think that
Jesus.
movie had less of a budget than like some of the shows, like some of the Marvel shows, and everything in there was top notch. I mean, even like something that has more CGI going on, like Dune, the Dune that came out in 2021. That movie is insane with its CGI. Like it looks so good, and especially compared to like, and that was like I think that was like a 6 year production
Oh my god.
where
I know that was like
they
a very long production. I remember seeing that like so long ago about like a tease or
oh
something.
yeah, like filming. I think filming happened probably towards the end, but they had the script written. I'm pretty sure like fairly early on. So then the VFX crews, they could figure out what they wanted all of this stuff to look like well in advance, and they had ample amount of time to finish things.
Yeah, so moral of the story, finish your movies, make sure the polish them to where they are finished, and whatever you do, even if they are finished, do not cut it off as a fucking tax write-off. And that's what Warner Brothers did. Alright, we might as well get this out the way. Warner Brothers
I
is
don't wanna.
shitting the bed and puking all over the floor right now.
Ugh,
Yeah,
I just it's pain.
I
Like
know. Like,
I had it. I opened up.
when did
It
Dave
was like the day that
Zaslav
like
come in like the new CEO?
I'm gonna equate this. It was like the day I woke up and saw Spider-Man Twitter exploding over Spider-Man Lotus. Like I
Yeah,
woke up, looked at my phone the day WB like did everything, and I was Ant-Man in Endgame, just going, "What the hell happened here?" Like,
exactly. Like you just wake up one day and like like Spider-Man Lotus is canceled, like Batgirl is canceled. Everyone's hating on Spider-Man
dude,
PS4.
oh my god, that was the same time frame. I
Yeah,
forgot. Like,
it was like in a week span. This all happened like 1 or 2 weeks.
God,
It's
this was
so
like if a monkey like sat next to a fan and took a shit, and then the fan just like splattered it like it was turned up on the highest setting, and there's like a blank canvas right there, and they're trying to make art, and the monkey just walked up, took a shit, and just ruined it. Like
yeah. Yeah,
I
Warner Brothers is in a terrible spot right now. Do you know when Dave Zaslav like became the new CEO?
I do not actually. It couldn't have been a recent thing though, because
It
like I would
had
have
to
seen it.
be. Hold on, I actually have to
Like
Google this now.
I think the worst casualty of this for me is Young Justice. Just for me, because like
Yeah, I
I love
remember.
that
I
show.
haven't finished Young Justice, but I heard it's gotten really bad.
Okay, I'm gonna come off as the defender and the dick writer, and yes, I absolutely am. But what I'm gonna say about this is that I think the long time between the seasons did it no favors, and I think it made people a lot more. I think it made people a lot harsher on the show because there was so much like, oh, it's coming back, and everyone else started watching it, and they got all these high expectations for it, and that were just kind of unreasonable for season 3 to hit. And so that's something I think just with Young Justice, like going through. I watched it with my siblings, and
But
like we went straight from seasons 1 to 4, and they had a complete different experience going straight from seasons 1 to 4 than like everyone else who watched it like after and waited for the gap. All right, so that's my Young Justice defense
yeah,
tangent.
but yeah, he became the he was a chief executive officer in April of this year, so it was fairly recent. So I'm assuming that's kind of when like Batgirl was almost done, like it's nearing its end, and then he was like, you know what? No, it's not good enough. Like, okay,
Yeah.
granted, there are a couple scenes that got leaked where it looked the greatest, but I need to remind people that Morbius got released in theaters 3 times. 3 separate times Morbius
Wait,
was released in
3?
theaters. Three. First initial release, and then 2 re-releases. The third
There were
release,
2 re-releases?
yep, yeah, yeah. There was a
What the
third one.
fuck?
I believe there was a third one, but that made even less money. I think it made like 80K
Nah.
in the world. But
Oh
yeah,
my
Morbius
god.
was released multiple times in theaters, and Batgirl, despite its quality, was canceled for a tax write-off. So it's not something that has to do with quality or even Michael Keaton. It's literally just because they want to save money, even though it's like a $70 million movie.
Mhm.
And that was kind of the turning point in basically everything. Like there's no such concern with movies right now where nothing is safe. Which, okay, granted, nothing's really ever been safe. It's just this was a major company to do something that drastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but the thing is, I think that what we need to realize that this was basically a one thing in a very 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 blue moon. Like this is something that hasn't happened in I don't even know how long. Where like this was the first big company to do something like that. So I don't. I hope it's not going to be something that's a reoccurring thing with other companies, but Warner Brothers right now is definitely doing that. That's exactly what Warner. But like even not even Bad Goal, like Scoob Holiday Hunt.
Yeah.
That was also canceled, even though it was like practically finished. But the worst part about this is, and the goddamn nerves that Warner Bros. Have to not even inform them the team. Every single person on that team found out through social media. It's so
It's
hard to
just
talk about, but it needs to be said that, like, and I think the problem with Twitter right now is that they are now realizing that the film industry is political when it's always political.
oh yeah.
I feel like that needs to be said is that this has been a thing that is always been around. Like there's always been politics when it comes to film industries. But the thing is, these now bigger major companies are starting to do like things that bring out that political side even more. But again, like this has always been a thing where it's always been about politics, about capitalism, and it's it's weird to see that people are like just now seeing that.
I think it's a bit of like most people just don't see movies in that way. It's like just a I'm going to go to the theater and I'm going to go to the theater, watch a story and then I'm going to come back. And
Right,
like I
but
don't
I
care.
mean, like the problem is that even if like you don't see like when CGI is bad, or you don't see like the real reasons behind why a movie is canceled, you gotta think about like in the lens of the actual production. Like you gotta think about like even if you see so much CGI but you don't think it's a problem, you still gotta think about how much time the VFX workers are putting into this, or why these movies are getting canceled instead of just going off of like the very basics of what you know and turning it into a bad thing with those actual developing teams. Like you at that point you're basically blaming the team instead of blaming the company that bosses them around.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like it's still like a problem with Warner Bros. Right now because like HBO Max and I think the other channel, what was it, Discovery Plus is now merging,
Yeah.
but they're trying to appeal to a I don't even know what demographic they're really appealing to because they say it's gonna be more live action adaptations like
Wasn't it?
more
It
live
was
action.
male and female or
Yeah, male
whatever.
and female skews.
Yeah. What the fuck?
I don't even know. Yeah, it's so weird,
Like,
but yeah, that was like kind of the difference between that. Like they literally posted on Twitter a screenshot of like the difference between HBO Max and Discovery Plus is like, oh, HBO Max is male skew,
well, yeah,
Discovery
that was
Plus
like the
is female
scripted.
skew.
Wasn't HBO Max is like the scripted stuff,
Yeah,
and
scripted.
Discovery is the unscripted.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird, but now they're starting to cut a lot, and I mean a lot of animated TV.
Oh God.
I remember seeing, I think it was 13 animated TV shows cut from HBO Max indefinitely. But
Yeah.
it's not even with HBO Max. Like some TV shows like the Infinity Train is being cut entirely. Like it's no
Yeah.
longer on YouTube or any platforms. You have to
Yeah. You
go
can't find it
and
anywhere.
yeah. Like you pretty much have to black market those animated TV shows now, and it's a problem with Warner Bros. Now is that they're not seeing that these other forms of storytelling outside of their live action stuff is still a form of storytelling. Like
Animation has gotten a shit hand for years.
oh, it's definitely it's 100% had, but like
I
the thing, like, but now like people have started to realize that okay, animation isn't as bad as what we thought. But Dave
I think the two
Zaslav came
shows.
in and just like, nope, animation doesn't exist. Poof,
Yeah, oh
it's
God. I
gone.
think the two things that have like helped big time with animation is I think Arcane got like animation on everyone's radar.
Well,
It
yeah.
was like that good. And then I would put Spider-Verse up there a bit more.
Spider-Verse like
Uh
changed the course of animation entirely.
I still think it should have been nominated for Best Picture.
It got
In that
nominated for best
like
animation. It didn't get nominated for best picture.
yeah, which
It's sort
like
of
that
100%.
upsets
That is
me.
like one of the best movies I've ever fucking seen.
Animation should only be its own separate category when you're talking about like best like very specific things in animation, like best style or whatever. Like
Exactly.
that
Uh,
that animated movies should be in the same category for like best picture
exactly.
because they are still movies.
I think like even recently like I think it was Lee was the name where it was an anime movie, but it was during the Holocaust era if I remember correctly, and it 100% is not in the same genre as Into Spider-Verse or like
Any
fucking Peppa
DreamWorks and
Pig
Pixar movie.
or a DreamWorks Pixar or Illumination movie. Like
Yeah.
not in any of those categories because like the things that some of these directors are trying to tell you is that animation is a medium. And Dave Zaslav is not one of those people that believes that because if he did, 13 animated TV shows would not be taken off of the face of the fucking earth.
Dude, I had a heart attack the other day when I saw that Batman the Caped Crusader
Oh my,
was like
yeah.
I had a straight up heart attack cuz I was looking at this. It was in the same one that announced that like the Looney Tunes thing also got put up for sale or whatever, and I was like, dude, Batman and Looney Tunes aren't safe? Like what? And
It's
thank
so
God that like
yeah.
it's
It's
up for
still there,
grabs.
but it's just not on
Yeah.
HBO Max. But
Which,
like
like, thank God.
he has put us in, like Dave Zaslav has put us in such a scary situation where we think that nothing is safe from that company. Because
Yeah,
in all
it's
fairness, that's 100% true, but they're making it more believable that nothing is safe. Like we were for the longest time thinking that Peacemaker or Harley Quinn season 3 or Zatanna was not safe. Thankfully they
oh
all
yeah,
are. But
dude. Thank God the Blue Beetle movie is safe right now.
oh, it's safe?
I think so. I'm not
Okay.
sure. To be honest,
That's
we
good.
haven't gotten anything about it. But
Dude, I
for the
hope
love
it's
of God,
if okay. I know the Batman 2 is definitely happening. No fucking way they're canceling
oh
that,
yeah,
but
yeah, no way,
If Blue Beetle gets canceled, I'm walking. I don't even care about I'll go for like the Batman 2, but I'm walking. I would not give a shit
this is
about
my
DC anymore.
Joker origin story.
Yeah.
Like, not gonna lie.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
that
like This is like our origin story right now. We're just so close to walking right now.
I will say, as much as it pains me to say it because I do want to see this movie, I think I think Canary would probably get in the axe.
It's don't do that.
I'm
Don't do
sorry.
that to me.
I have to, like, even though I want to see an actual Green Arrow and Black Canary stuff, or just like Canary in general, because I like Dinah. I I want
Yeah,
I know it's gonna get the axe. I
it's
know
such
it's like
a
the
scary
lowest.
situation, but it's all we have to believe in these directors that are literally fighting for their fucking lives right now to keep their own
Yeah.
movies. Like, you know it's bad when the teams that got their canceled movies did not know about how their movies getting canceled.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it's so
having to
bad right now.
hear about it on your honeymoon, like
Ugh,
that's gotta hurt. Like,
exactly. It's so hard to watch, but we just have to hope that these teams like will keep fighting even though it's very fucking bleak right.
yeah, like the only good thing that has come from like all of these controversies and stuff is at least the jokes about it are pretty funny.
Yeah, the
Like the
jokes are fucking
memes,
hilarious. Are you like the jokes are
like
so funny.
like the memes about Spider-Man Lotus when all of that shit went down. That was so funny. And then like the ones about it was after Batgirl, like it was announced it got the axe, and it was all of the memes about Blue Beetle, like the Blue Beetle directors opening their email in the morning and it's Thanos getting blasted by Captain Marvel. And I'm like, yeah.
I remember seeing one this morning where like all these like movies getting cut from Warner Brothers, and like there's fucking water news going like, I'll cut 1,000 movies before I let the Flash die.
Yeah. Like,
Like the memes about the Flash like not getting cut are so funny.
dude, I honestly, that movie has to be the greatest thing since sliced bread to have not gotten the axe.
It has
Genuinely.
to be a literal godsend movie to not be cut, even after all of the incriminating, very incriminating stuff on Ezra Miller. Like, I
Dude,
think he might just be a little guilty on something.
I saw, you know the it was me Barry reverse flash meme.
Yeah.
I saw a video that was like it's the same thing. It's reverse flash going. It was actually no. This one's on you, Barry. You didn't need me for this one. You did that. I'm like, yeah. Like,
Yeah, it's so crazy with like the thing is I don't even understand why Warner Bros is doing this because they've been pulling out banger after banger movies for a while now. Black okay, like if we're talking about
all right.
movies that have actually been released, Suicide Squad, DC League
Oh,
of
dude,
Goddamn Super Pets.
the Suicide Squad banger. I for as much as like we as I see everyone clowning on the Black Adam stuff and like how much he's getting pushed, like as the character. I get that. On the other hand, the suits in the Black Adam movie and the
The
Justice
suit look
Society, like,
amazing.
dude, seeing the Justice Society just makes me happy because I'm like, I want to see more of them. Like we always get the League, but like I want to see the Society.
The only thing I'm
I
like
want to
worried
see
about
Jay.
is that there have been so many shots of Doctor Fate not wearing his helmet. You just imagine that he wears his helmet like twice.
I have kind of a feeling that like I have a bit of a feeling that Doctor Fate's gonna get killed in the movie.
Yeah, but like
Like,
like back to the thing, I don't even understand like why Warner Bros. Is doing all this because they've been putting out like a lot of movies that have done generally well in the box office. They've been pushing out a lot of products that
oh yeah,
done really well. I don't. It's so weird. Like they're not like making enough as like any of the other bigger companies, but they're still making enough to keep themselves afloat. Like, but again, like especially with
oh
Back
yeah.
to Back Goal, it was a $70 million movie, and they cut it because as a tax write-off because they didn't think they would make enough money. But like a
Release it
couple,
in theaters then.
but releasing well, even then HBO Max,
Like,
like
well,
it was
they
supposed
were
to be
initially they were just going to do
initially it
the
was just
HBO
going to be
Max
HBO
release.
Max, but I mean, even then, it wouldn't have cost them like too much to put it on HBO Max. But even if you look at like they're releasing in theaters, yeah, they had to spend like a lot more on advertising, actually put it in theaters, but it's a goddamn Batman movie
Yeah,
with
right?
Michael
Like, you have a
Keaton.
member of the Bat family that's going to sell.
Yeah,
Like,
like okay, even though Michael Keaton's not in a lot of scenes, you can still advertise on Michael Keaton's in the movie, and people are
oh,
instantly going to
absolutely.
sell.
Like, I think the best thing for the No Way Home marketing was the fact that Jamie Foxx like spoiled, or I think it was either Jamie Foxx or Alfred Molina that spoiled that they were going to be in the movie, and now they could really hype up like that. That allowed them to really hype up. Oh, you're going to see all of these old villains, and then that just cascaded into the well, Toby and Andrew are definitely in the movie now.
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of like the like if they were there, like Toby and Andrew were basically an obligation at that point. That's why like
a little bit,
No
yeah.
Way Home like made so many pre-sale tickets, even though it technically was never confirmed that they were in the movie.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. And like,
realistically, No Way Home could have just blue balled the shit out of us, and they never showed up.
yeah, and like, I think that's something that we're like, the thing is, Spider-Man's gonna make money no matter what. Like, I mean,
Obviously,
just look at Far From Home. Like, that movie did 1 billion, and people don't really, that movie has like the most mixed reception, but it made up like 2 billion or something, I
yeah,
think.
exactly.
And then, No Way Home was gonna make money regardless. Just having all of these older characters just helped it.
And
Like, I
same thing
think,
with DC. Like you have Batman in any movie, and people are going to see it because they want to see different iterations of a Batman. Like they want to
yeah,
see
like,
different like
just
versions of these characters.
take like the Batman. I think that movie, honestly, I think it would have done a lot better if we weren't in I think it would have hit 1 billion if it didn't come out like still towards the tail end of the pandemic. And
Obviously.
I do think that the way they marketed it also, it just kind of affected it a little bit because it wasn't marketed as your typical Marvel or superhero movie like when the DC EU was like trying to copy Marvel at the
Right.
time. They marketed it as a straight up, this is a detective thing. This is not going to be like the last couple Batman movies you've seen. We're going to be a lot more slow paced and methodical with all of this
Yeah,
and
the
be
marketing
very,
definitely didn't do service to the movie, but the movie, like everyone still loved it,
oh yeah,
even if it could have made more people. Like it is universally loved upon. Like
like there's
okay,
so
even
many
if you're
people
like
that are
a
like, this
Rotten
is the
Tomatoes
perfect Batman.
lover, even if you're a Rotten Tomatoes lover who like thinks Rotten Tomatoes is such a reliable source, with full disclosure, it's not. But
No.
if you like a full Rotten Tomatoes fan, the Batman on Rotten Tomatoes has a perfect symmetry with the audience and the critics.
Oh, seriously?
It's like a 1 or 2% margin, but it's that close, and that's how even if like you go on Rotten Tomatoes often, that's how you as a Rotten Tomatoes stan would know that this is a good movie, even if it's not like 100% across the board.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like, it's it's just, it's crazy that uh, they took the axe to all of these products because it feels like it would be more. I don't know the business side of everything, but I have to know like that you're like any dumbass would know that you're gonna make money off of a Batgirl movie.
of it, like it's a Batman movie. Like even if like, you don't even have to think about it as a Batgirl movie. You have to think about it as a Batman movie. It's still using the same Batman IP.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's gonna make money regardless. Like you can unironically like use the 5 scenes that Michael Keaton's in and just use that as your marketing, and people will obviously go for it.
Oh yeah.
Plus, like the suits look really good. I love the Batgirl suit.
Oh yeah. Oh well. Okay. So that suit has my favorite. It was based on my favorite, which is like the purple like jacket
Right.
one. I will say though that in the some of the shots that I saw, it didn't look great, but in like the behind the scenes stuff that I saw, it looked better there.
Yeah.
It looked so much better there.
Yeah, and I think what Warner Bros is doing now is that they're going for those high risk movies. They're going for Black Adam, Shazam 2. What else is coming? I don't remember.
Aquaman that
Oh yeah,
got pushed back, by the way.
yeah, Aquaman. Like I know,
Flash.
yeah, Flash. Obviously,
Flash is the biggest gamble they've
Flash is
ever
the
taken.
biggest gamble because let's be honest. If you know anything about Ezra Miller, you're probably not gonna want to see it. Like honestly, I'm very tempted about not seeing it, but
Well, and
honestly,
we
out
also
of
like
respect for everyone who worked on that
yeah.
movie, I feel like I have to, even if the fucking main actor is basically the reverse Flash.
I still love seeing those memes. The Reverse Flash is actually the hero right now. He's trying to stop this movie from coming out.
Exactly. It was me, Barry. I stopped the movie from happening.
Just everyone him the true Flash, like he's the true Flash. Or
Is
it's actually no. I think the theory right now is that the Reverse Flash has the real Flash, kidnapped or whatever, and he's just wreaking havoc so that his movie doesn't come out.
Yeah.
So like this isn't even the real Ezra Miller. This is Eobard Thawne Ezra Miller.
Oh my god. Like all the Flash movies are so hilarious because of such a very shitty situation.
What's going on here is like it's like the Amazing Spider-Man comic book fans, all of us secretly sitting down here wishing that please tell me Mephisto is behind all of this stuff going on in the current story. Just give us some reason to explain why all of this is happening so we can still be excited for what's to come.
Like just like full like just go extremely just do a full on meta commentary on Ezra Miller and make it to where like at the end it's all like an illusion, like an alternate timeline or something. Or it's like you said, it's actually Eobard Thawne in the red suit.
Yep.
Just go completely meta with the ending. That way, like, okay, you know what? This is actually a little better now because they're at least acknowledging this is the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up everything for this podcast. Do you have any final thoughts?
Uh I'm crying about everything DC related.
Yeah,
I am
obviously.
looking forward to what comes with Daredevil on She-Hulk. I'm probably going to like watch the episodes like a day late again or a day or two late again like I did this time just to see what everyone's getting pissy about and then kind of look at my dad and see what he's getting from it as someone just watching it for what it is. Um and then yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna watch all of Daredevil's scenes on YouTube anyway.
Yeah,
So
I just kind of hope that everything after episode one's a lot better. Like it's weird because like it's kind of I hope it does like a reverse of what every other MCU TV show has done. Like first episode
yeah,
amazing, everything else it goes off the rails a little bit.
progressively worse and worse. You just want this to get progressively
But then the
better.
finale is like, but then the finale is like sometimes good, sometimes yeah.
The WandaVision finale,
WandaVision finale, Falcon Winter Soldier finale, arguably Hawkeye finale.
which that one is probably the best finale we've gotten.
I still think the Loki finale is like the best one. Like,
Hmm.
mm, no, definitely
I
Loki. I was thinking about Moon Knight, but then I thought, nope, that's episode 5.
yeah yeah yeah. The
And
final episode of Moon Knight shat the bed a little bit,
yeah,
but we
a
can
little
still
bit,
save it. I'm putting my
little,
tinfoil hat on.
little bit. Tid for had out. Oh, it's all in his mind. L plus ratio plus you fell off. It's probably get around to actually finishing Daredevil now. But
Watch
it's
Defenders.
well,
If you don't want it to
Defenders.
end, just watch Defenders to get the peak.
But yeah, that is going to be all for today's podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified for future content releases. And thank you, Zero the Hero, for joining me. I hope to have you again.
Yeah, I hope to be back. It was fun.
Yep, and that is going to be all. I'm your favorite little Scout
All
Boy,
right.
signing off.